Hello, this is Paramjit Singh. Thank you very much for tuning in to Passing Clouds Coaching Ideas, Thoughts, and Meanderings. So, recently I was having a conversation with one of my friends. She is a physician and come from minority communities. And the topic of conversation was how professionals from minority communities, even when they contribute significantly to the knowledge base, do not guarantee them a professional success. And I wanted to explore it a little bit. And it reminded me of a personal incident many years back when I was doing my postdoctoral fellowship in Australia. One of the folks from a biology department always said to me that I have to work 4 times harder than other folks here in order to be considered equal. I have just arrived from India, so I didn't know much about it. It didn't make sense to me. But when I am actually had a conversation with this lady, it occurred to me that he used to say that, and there's a perception, at least in some individuals, that though they participate or contribute significantly to the knowledge base, their success is not commensurate to the level of efforts they make. And I wanted to explore this in the terms of what really scientific data suggest in this regard. Is it just a kind of a victim mentality, or is simply a social perception, or is there a kind of a scientific data to support this perception, or if it supports, to what extent it supports? So I'm going to share with you a couple of studies which have appeared in the last few years, and then I'm going to suggest the policy implication of such things. So the first study that appeared was in Proceedings of National Academy of Science in 2020, and in that study what they did was they went about exploring 1.2 million PhD dissertation awarded in United States of America. That accounts for around 86% of the total PhDs awarded. And they noticed that the rate of innovation in those dissertations among the underrepresented community was significantly higher than the majority communities. But even though their contribution was higher than the majority communities, they were mostly devalued. They were not taken up for further exploration and did not commensurately translate into any professional or academic success in the long term. And then subsequently, another study published in the Science Advances wanted to see if something can be done about this. Can we mitigate some of this perception? Can we create a level playing field for individuals coming from the minority? And that paper was published in 2021 and aptly titled Racial Attention Deficit. And what it means is that individuals coming from the minority communities, professionals, scientists, and other professionals coming from minority communities are often not paid attention to it. And if attention is not paid, most likely they don't get picked up for any promotions, hiring, funding, and all sort of things. And in that study, what they wanted to see, they presented an incentivized puzzle to participants to learn from both black and white folks. And the result of the study were very stark. Almost 33% of white folks picked white folks than over black folks. And they consider that one of the significant presumption in this was that black folks were less competent than white folks, to that point of actually picking white folks' ideas 33% over black folks. And that has a very interesting implication if you see, and maybe that has a social translation, because that's why you don't see a lot of people from minority communities, whether it's law to health to leadership position, and they don't head many places because the perception is that people are considered to be less competent. And it reminded me when I was reading the conversation I had with one of my colleagues in Australia many years back, and he used to say that I have to work 4 times harder to be considered equivalent when it comes to promotions. And then they rigged the study. They wanted to see if this disparity in evaluation, and why white folks consider other white folks more competent than black folks, they wanted to mitigate. And the mitigation happened through variation, where before the puzzle was presented to the participants, the previous or prior achievements of black folks were highlighted. And when those previous achievements were highlighted, they noticed that this evaluation disparity, the difference in evaluation between whites and black folks, actually went down. But the racial attention deficit persisted, which means the idea was still not taken. The other people's ideas were taken. And then they did the second variation of the study, where we brought the white folks to witness the achievement of the black folks. And by having them witness the achievements of black folks, they were able to eliminate first the evaluation disparity, and then the second, the racial attention deficit, which means that by having people see the achievements of black folks or minority communities, whites were able to consider them equivalently competent and were able to take up their ideas or further exploration as the same with the white folks. Now, these seems to be very nice studies, but it has a policy implications. And one of the policy implications is that if you want to have the level playing field for professional success for minority scientists or professionals, you have to continuously or intentionally highlight their achievements so that other people can see that they are competent enough to be promoted, to be funded, to be hired for appropriate positions. The second one is that it adds another dimensions to diversity and equity issue, because diversity often is presented as a moral argument, but beyond the moral argument, diversity is a very interesting natural system argument, because every system in the nature, which is every diverse system in the nature, is more robust than homogeneous system. Now that's a conversation for a different day, but I would like to add that diversity is just not a moral argument, that inequity, that because it's unfair to actually to consider other people less equal than other. Then the third one is that by doing that, we begin to see, or we correct the asymmetry in hiring, funding, in the human resource management, in talent management, in recognition, in professional success, in promotions, in fundings, and all sort of things. So just doing that a little bit can actually help tweak the field in a favor of minority communities, so that the both individuals from majority communities and minority communities can enjoy parity or equity in a professional success. So just to wind it down and just to give you a couple of points before I close it, the whole idea here is the perception that minority scientists tend to do worse is now beginning to be borne by data from science. And that's one thing. The second thing is that there's a way we can correct it, and by correcting it, we know that scientific innovation is necessary for social progress. So when we are able to innovate, and when we are able to incentivize the innovation provided by minority communities, we diversify the innovation systems, and which, as I said before, diverse systems are a lot more robust than homogeneous systems, because they provide a different kind of thought process into the whole idea of whole ecosystem. So it is important that we consider these things rather than considering diversity as just a kind of moral argument. Anyhow, that's it for today. If you like such content, please drop a like, subscribe to our channel, share your thoughts. If you have a thoughts counter to this argument, please do share. I would love to actually have a conversation with you. And until next time, stay curious and reasonably non-judgmental. I will see you next time. Thank you.
Please subscribe to the channel, like and share. Thank you.